Don't need the firewood. Okay guys, welcome to the workshop. Got 2 dogs with me tonight. That should be fun. Lil's eating the firewood. The topic of discussion tonight is the forgotten cost of moving to another country. I see all these videos about how cheap it is to live and, you know, cost of living and all that. And you know, I'm in Thailand, so I see the Thailand ones. I haven't watched one in years, but they're so misleading, and you know, I always call them the most dangerous videos on the internet, because if you believe what's being said, you're in for a world of hurt if you actually follow through with it. Yeah, you can live cheap, but there's hidden expenses that nobody talks about. Now, I've talked to people, expats in Mexico, a couple of different Caribbean islands, Malaysia, Philippines, and they all said the same thing. Everybody's doing cost of living videos, and very few people are actually telling the truth about the actual cost of, you know, the day-to-day or monthly bills, how much it costs to live per year, stuff like that. It's very watered down to make it look better than it actually is for some reason. A few days ago, a couple months ago, someone contacted me wanting to buy rabbits. I don't sell rabbits, I don't sell anything, so it wasn't an issue. But for whatever reason, I looked on their channel to see if they had any videos. And this guy's doing videos about how to live in Thailand on $300 a month. I've seen quite a few people do it with $500, or claim to live on $500. But $300, that is 9,200, 9,300 baht, something like that. If you get a favorable conversion rate, and the conversion rate has been in the toilet for quite a while. Yeah, that's a fire and a half. Most Thai people don't live on that. Anybody that does don't want to. That is third world poverty right there. If you want to live like that, that's up to you. None of my business. The topic of this video is not that. It's the hidden cost that nobody talks about, and that's your first month in the country. It don't matter which country you're moving to, or even if you're just moving across the country. When I was 19 years old, I moved about 5,000 something kilometers away from home, across the country. There's only so much stuff you can bring with you, right? You need everything. You gotta find a place to live. You need an apartment. You gotta have first month's rent, last month's rent, security deposit. You gotta get your water hooked up. You gotta get your electric hooked up, your telephone, or well, even if it's a cell phone, internet, all of this stuff. First month, you need money. If you're going international, unless you're planning on living out of a suitcase and living in a hostel or something like that, you know, you gotta find a place to live. First and last month's rent, deposit, get all your utilities hooked up. That might not be an issue. Here in Thailand, that's not an issue, because you just leave it in the original name and pay the bill. Gonna have to get telephone, get it hooked up, pay as you go, not expensive. But unless you plan on living like a hobo, you need stuff. If you rent a place that's fully furnished, then you don't have to buy furniture, but then your rent's going to be more. You're going to need everything. You just think of all the stuff that's in your kitchen. You got to buy all that. No matter how poor you want to live, there's still some of that stuff you need. You need to be able to clean your place. You need to be able to clean yourself. You need to be able to cook. If you're living cheap, you're not eating out. Although street food is good and it's cheap and it's easy. If you're living on $300, 9,000 baht a month, that ain't much street food, let me tell you what. But it is the first month. It is ridiculous on how much stuff you need. When I first moved to Thailand, I stayed in a hotel for first week or something. You know, got to get your foot on the ground and need a place to stay. My fire went from crazy to nothing. Then I moved into, how would you describe it? It's like a small hotel, guest house. Yeah, that's what it's called. A guest house. But still no kitchen or nothing like that. And then I got a cheap apartment. It came furnished, which was good, but still needed stuff for the kitchen. You needed stuff to clean the place. You know, it was constantly going and buying stuff. You don't think you need much. Oh, just need the basics. And then, well, it'd be nice to have a microwave, wouldn't it? That would make life easier. So then you got to go buy a microwave. Oh, I need towels, I need this, I need that. The first month, it's ridiculous how much money you need to spend. And nobody talks about that. And it doesn't matter where you're going. Let's talk about cost of living again. There's cost of living videos now for Canada. And they're very, very misleading. Again, you think how big Canada is. You think the rent is the same in downtown Toronto as it is in small town Saskatchewan, out on the prairies. You know, cost you $3,000 or $4,000 for a month in an apartment in Toronto, and probably $300 or $400 for a house in small town Saskatchewan. You know, that's why these cost of living videos are dangerous. You got to understand what their costs are and what they're not telling you. But yeah, anytime you're moving, it's expensive. If you sell all your stuff here at point A and move to point B, then you got to buy it all again. You don't sell it for the same price as you're buying, you know what I mean? Maybe you get lucky and there's some secondhand stuff that's good that you can buy, but it depends on where you're at. I find around here in Thailand, secondhand is more expensive than new a lot of the times, and not readily available on early anything. But you ask anybody who's made a big move, don't believe me, ask anybody that you trust on what it's like. You know, it's like starting over again. You're totally starting over. It's like getting your very first apartment without having mom sending you care packages, you know? Well, you don't need to eat the firewood. But it's fun. Yeah, I've always said these cost of living videos are dangerous. They are very, very misleading for whatever reason, you know. Like, personally, I could care less if you believe anything I say, because I have nothing to gain by it either way. Nothing. If you don't believe me and you get screwed over, that's your own fault. Nothing to do with me. If you do believe me, cool, that's good, because I have no reason to tell you a lie. I have nothing to gain out of it, or very little to lose. Well, what are you looking for? He's under the tripod. That's never a good thing. You know, I've talked to a lot of people over the years, and you'd be surprised at stories, you know. And everybody has a comfort level that they need met, you know. I could never not have my own address, and some people have no problem living in, you know, living out of a suitcase, going from one hostel or cheap hotel or, you know, cheap apartment, constantly moving around. I can't live like that. I lived out of a suitcase for 20 years for work, and I can't live like that anymore. But if that's your thing and you don't mind it, then, you know, maybe you can get by without having to pay first and last month's rent. But there's going to be stuff you're going to need no matter what, no matter how prepared you think you are. Constantly moving around costs money as well. I think the biggest one is all the stuff you need to buy. The first month, all the stuff you need to buy. Most people understand that if they rent an apartment or a condo or a house, they need the first and last month's rent. Security deposit, you know, it's not cheap, but most people understand that. But realizing how much stuff you need to buy, how many trips to go shopping, how long the list can be, and then you got transportation. Are you going to get a car, a motorbike, just take public transportation? Depends on where you are, right? If you're going to drive, then you need to get a local driver's license. Make sure you leave home with an international driver's license. It makes getting a driver's license in a second country a whole lot easier. You don't have to do the entire full test. Probably not. Every country would have different rules. But I know I didn't. I still had to do a part of the test. I didn't have to do the driving part. It was just a half a day getting it done. It's no different than doing a renewal now, what I had to do. Because I already had the international driver's license. That thing saves you big time. And if you're going to drive, you should have it anyway. There's a lot to consider when you're moving, man. Don't matter how far you're moving. Across the country or across the world. It's expensive. Don't think it's not. You'll be a fool. You'll be sorry if you do. Oh man, I wouldn't want to do it again. It's starting over. It's totally starting over. Be nice to have a pork chop to put on there, huh? What a pile of ashes we got going tonight. And we're fresh out of pork chops. Alright guys, as always, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Just something to think about, you know, based on my experience. I have been around. I have talked to a lot of people that's been around. And some of them has made some pretty big mistakes. I know a guy moved to Thailand who had never been there before. Don't do that. Don't move to a country that you've never been to. What I tell everybody when they move into Thailand is come and live for a month on how you would have to live if you were retired there, living there full time. Not living like a tourist. Big difference between living like a tourist and living like an expat. Somebody that lives there full time. For one, tourist life is rather expensive, and it gets quite old after a while, you know, being a constant tourist. For me anyway. And when you retire, you're going to have a set amount of money. Most people would do anyway. A lot smaller amount than you'd have if you're on holidays. and you've got to be able to live on that. So if you think you can live on $300 a month, well, come and do it for a month before you make the move and see if that's the life you want before you move halfway around the world and make the biggest mistake of your life. Because these people, like I said, making these crazy, insane videos about moving to a third world country and living in poverty and making it look like it's a good idea. It's not. It really is not, you know. Don't sell out at home and wish that you didn't. When I moved to Thailand, I didn't sell anything for the first 2 years. Whew. Looks like it's snowing, Leo. You've never seen snow, huh? And I never want to see it again. Alright guys, as always, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. And the fire's back. Yay! Thank you, Thomas! The fire woke Thomas up.